I'm Daniel and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I'm extremely nervous. I know that when I try to think about what I'm going to say, what's going to come out is going to be completely different. So I guess it's important for me just to try and be honest. And saying and admitting that I'm an alcoholic is probably the first honest thing that I'll say. It's very difficult to do that, but it's honest. It's the way that I drink, it's not normal. And when I start, I can't stop. And what I want to do and what I would like to achieve in this is to sort of tell the person who has a problem with drinking how to stop, and listening to the preambles and the steps and the promises. And I know what's in the big book, and it's really all there. My story is just my experience, and if I say something that's not in the book, please just delete it and ignore it. When I follow what's in the book, and when I follow my sponsor's guidance and follow the opinions of friends and not go according to my thinking, then I stay sober. It's that sort of admitting that my thinking's wrong, and the way that I do things and the decisions that I make, that's the problem. I am the problem. I love the reading as well. Accepting that's the difficult thing. It's a prayer that we pray every single time is for that acceptance. So I do love the reading. It's once I get that right, that's sort of the amazing part. The last drink I had is 28 July 2017. And I guess that's important for me to share that, because that's 2.5 years ago, where 2 years ago is my sobriety date. And in order for me to experience the full power of this program and what the steps offer me, I have to be abstinent from all mind and mood-altering substances. I can't have a chemical in me in order to experience the spiritual experience that they speak about. I need to be completely clean and sober. So it's important for me to sort of share that. The drink was on the farm. In Hammanskraal, we have a family farm just north of Pretoria, and it was a Saturday. I had a hunting group over. I say a lot. I'm so aware that I say a lot. Towards the end of active, what I did is I started this hunting business on the farm, and it was a Saturday. The hunt didn't go as planned, and the people ended up leaving. I knew I had an opportunity to drink. I had 4 days till the next hunting party arrived, and I knew it's time to drink. The way I drink, like I say, I can't express that enough. The way I drink and when I drink, it's not normal. I can't stop. I become a whole different person, which I've realized I can become without even drinking. But just trust me, I know when I drink, there's chaos. So I share that because I knew there will be 4 or 5 days. The next hunting group was on the Tuesday. I knew I had 4 or 5 days that I can drink and I can just sort of let go. I remember I didn't have money to buy sort of an expensive drink. I ended up buying cheap wine. I took the workers with me, and we went to the closest shebeen, and I bought cheap wine. It was like a white type of wine, not very tasty. Drove back, and I sort of sat around the bonfire area or around the house, and I enjoyed a drink, and I left it at that, and I left to go home. Drinking always changed me, like I say. I do act and behave wrongly, if I can put it that way, but like I say, once I pick up the drink, it's all over for me. So it's very important for me to just stay away from that first drink. I remember even the first time I drank, so the first was like a beer. I drank it, and I remember I didn't like the taste. It didn't affect me. I don't believe I had as much for it to have affected me. But when I was in grade 6, I drank, and I remember diving on the grass and thinking that I'm Joos van der Westhuizen. And it's almost like when I drank, it made me believe, or I become someone that I'm not, that I believe that I'm not. I also don't want to blame the drink for that, because like I share, I can be that person even without a drink. But I know that I change when I drink. So it's important to stay away from that first one. My schooling in primary school, as I've shared, I'm from Pretoria. I went to primary school there. Nothing much to sort of share about, except probably a very important part is that in my grade 4, I realized that my behavior, I have this sort of class clown act and making jokes and being humorous, but I did it in a very negative way. I did it to put down the teachers, or I did it very wrongly, if I can put it that way, to get attention. And in grade 4, it was my behavior, like I said, so I had to be called into the principal's office and sort of get consequences like that. It was a difficult period for me, and I had to dig deep like that and go that far back in my past in order to pick up how my behavior is just different. I went on with primary school and all went well. I've always had this ability to fail at something, or I won't say an ability as like it's a good thing, but that's what happened with me. I fail at something, my behavior and my actions go sort of badly, wrong, and then I manage to pick myself back up and get on with it, whatever it is that I need to do. So I went to high school. At high school, the feelings that I have, I'm a thin guy and I'm small. I was smaller than the other oaks. I mature later. I always wanted to sort of be part of the cool crowd. When there was a party that's going on, I felt like if there was 30 people being invited, that I'll be number 31. I just wanted to be a part of the people who's getting invited to the Friday night party. I just wanted to go. And when I went, I drank and obviously vomited everywhere. Like on numerous occasions that happened to me where I drank and that happened. But that's sort of what I got in high school. In high school I played sports. I did good in academics, but then as well the academics will go sideways, and then my dad would step in and see the teachers, and they'll like manage to manage me. I'm that type of person who, we had a rule in science that if you get placed in the class according to your marks, and I did quite well, and the pretty girls were always at the back, so I did well, and I wanted to be with the pretty girls at the back, but the teacher said, not you. You can stay in front. I was that type of person. I had to be under the teacher's nose and be close up so that they can see what I'm busy up to. Got on with it, did well in matric. I became a prefect. That's something that I'm really proud of and that I worked hard. I always felt like I can sort of lead, and I always had the feeling that I'm a good guy. I really didn't go out and do certain things that was my intention. I knew there's good in me. And I enjoyed my matric year. I loved it. I think when I compare this last year that I have in recovery and being one of the best years of my life, I'll compare it to my matric year when I was 18. Did good in matric and qualified to go study medicine. Went to university, and it's really here in my first year that the drinking picked up. The sports that I mentioned sort of fell away, and it was now going to varsity or not going to varsity because I drank the previous night. But going to varsity, and then I would drink every single night. We'll have a certain place that we go to on Monday. It would be, let's say, on Mondays it was in Menlyn in Hatfield, like in Menlyn. There's this place called Boston's. On Tuesday it would be a different place. On Wednesday it would be different. Thursday it would be different. And it was just drinking straight through. The consequences thereof is the next day I won't be capable to go to varsity. I will definitely sleep till, let's say, 10 o'clock and miss those 2 opening periods. I will always arrive late if I don't miss the full day. So it really went and escalated quickly in university. I remember in my first year, there's a communion there where people go and live, and there was a welcoming sort of party for us. I remember ending up naked, vomiting on the back of the trailer, missing that complete party. I also remember going into the communion. There were pictures of everyone that was living there, and I always wanted to sort of move out of house and live with people, probably because I wanted to get up to stuff that I shouldn't be getting up to. But I was so angry and resentful that I remember ripping the photos off the board, because I just wanted to be there and I wanted to be a part of whatever it is that they were having. I also used a lot in that commune, so just to add that as well. I got on with university. The consequences started as I failed in my third year. Nearly failed at the end of my second year, but managed to pass. Told them my third year consequence come, repeat third year, pass. Went in fourth year, did well. Fifth year came, consequences again, failed. It's also in my second year that I got exposed to another substance, a stimulant, that I believed that I needed to use to study or to concentrate, which I definitely did, because it's not normal to study the last 12 hours before you write. To mess around for weeks, and then when exam time comes, to try and study for 12 hours, full blown, full out, and then go write the exam. So that stimulant, I started using it, and drinking was on top of it. Drinking has always been a part of it. But it's almost where I got to expose to other chemical solutions in my head, where I felt I was dependent on this certain substance to do something. I really, truly believed it. It helped me achieve what I needed to achieve. But as I just shared, I failed my third year. And even at the end of second year, the consequences came. So it's clear while doing the written work, my experiences, I did the green and gold from the sister fellowship, answering the questions honestly. And it's clear when I did that, and I had my life story like in front of me, that I'm missing the plot here. I'm not doing as great as I thought I was. So I managed to pass medicine and became a doctor. When I achieved that, and even during my studies, it felt that I was different than the friends that I was around. It's definitely ego is involved and arrogance is involved for having that title. But there's something else as well. I really did feel different, because even when I graduated and I went into hospital and I worked with other doctors, I didn't fit in. I was always fighting against the grain, if I can put it that way. I was always questioning what my superiors were telling me. I was always thinking they should do things a certain way. But in my head, I was doing what I thought I needed to be doing, and that was helping people. So it's still maybe conflicting to me, but at the end of the day, I wasn't functioning. I was unmanageable, clearly. It ended up with a decision one night. I knew I was on call the weekend, and it was a Thursday where I made a decision with a friend of mine to go visit another friend, had a few beers. Before I made that decision, I knew in my gut I should not be doing this. But I decided to go with that friend to this little braai thing that they're having. There was substances involved and drinking. I only had a few beers, and obviously remember I'm on a severe amount of the stimulant that I use. So definitely flying up there. And I remember driving back, and on our way back there was there was a fire on the mountain, and one of my other friends lived close to that, and we decided to go check it out and try and help. Of course, we're freaking firemen. I don't know, but try and help and warn them or something. I don't know. We were followed by the sector police, and we got pulled over. I sat next to the car, and they checked my friend's bag, and they found substances in his bag. I didn't know he had substances on him, but I was extremely arrogant towards the officers, and they threw me in the back of the van, and I went to a holding cell. It's in the holding cell. I was on call, like I said, that weekend. It's in the holding cell. I spent the time there. When I got out of the holding cell, my parents knew, okay, there's something wrong, and they decided to get me to a psychiatrist. That morning, I drove past the hospital as well, and I remember showing my middle finger at the hospital, which shows I'm very angry and resentful, and was very angry and resentful towards the hospital where I worked at. I believe that they made me work more amount of hours, extra hours, and just to only later on realize other people were also doing that, and they didn't act out and behave like I did. I'm definitely different. But why I want to share that is because that's my first trip to the psychiatrist. Going to the psychiatrist, I knew I'll be able to use the label and diagnosis what I wanted, because then I'll get my drug of choice or substance of choice. The only reason as well I went to the substance of choice, and one of the main reasons, is because I got this realization that I can't drink. Numerous people in my friendship group told me, you become an arsehole when you drink. So I went there and I sort of used that label, and I also took on board other labels. But I wasn't completely honest with the psychiatrist. Definitely didn't tell him that exactly what went on. And I got placed on antidepressants and mood stabilizers. And I sort of just took that on board. Even when I started the mood stabilizer, I remember looking at the why it's prescribed and the side effects of it. And I remember there was one like severe side effect of this drug, and I was fearful to take it, but I still carried on and used it. So went on. Now I'm on pharmaceutical medication. Like I said, the other substance I continued using in severe amounts. At the end of my second year, that's when, and that event as well. Now what's happened is I'm declared a medical impaired practitioner, so I have to go through the system. So that's when it comes to medicine, it's a bit complicated for me to sort of get back into medicine. There's a process to follow, but me not practicing medicine at this moment, be well aware that it is a consequences of my actions and the disease of alcoholism. I do have a choice in recovery whether I would like to go back and follow that process in order to get back, but it's a consequence that I need to follow that process. So that's when I sort of started getting back into that process, and I ended up working at another hospital in Vanderbijlpark and a hospital here in Hillcrest, and or in Pietermaritzburg. I stayed in Hillcrest, but they ended up not paying me because my number was blocked and there's financial issues. So that just fueled my resentment, because now I'm working and I'm not getting paid. So it's just a build up and build up. At that stage, I decided to hell with medicine. I'm going into this hunting business, and I love the farm. I still do, and I love hunting pigs. and yeah, I still do. It's true. It's one of those things that I just enjoy, and I ended up with that. So the lengths I went to just get that kicked off and start making money is, I started this whole business. I went onto the internet and I learned how to create websites with search engine optimization, that when a person types in the word warthog, then they get to me. And I started this whole full-blown business. I built hides, I put down trail cameras, I went to lengths in order to get money, in order to use at the end of the day and sort of continue my addiction. When that all failed, and how that failed, is that my relationship, I haven't even touched on that. So I cheated on my wife. That's basically the end of it. And the truth of it is the fact that I'm unfaithful and untrustworthy when I don't work this program. I cheated on her with a prostitute. It ended up with that. It's amazing how it works, because I spend a lot of time on the computer searching this websites and stuff, and being on the computer, I ended up clicking on links or searching pornography, and that made me go to websites and getting involved with prostitutes. That's how it progressed exactly, and I never owned that fact to her. She caught me. It's a long relationship. I can't even imagine the damage that I've done to her. It's been 10 years that we known each other, and we dated for a while, and we were married for 3. There was also some toxicity involved there. She also cheated on me in the beginning of the relationship, which makes me deal with the resentment and anger there. So that relationship and the fact that it's over, it does play a big part in my recovery. And the amends that I owe, which is to stay away and don't have contact. It's important to also share that the group knows me, that has happened in the past as well, where we can stay away from each other for a long time, and then for some reason we get back together. So my amends to her for today is to stay away and not contact her at all. And it works. So that's what I did. I got found out, but I never owned it to her. Never owned it to my family. And I remember being in my room, she left out at that stage. I was so in denial and far from my reality. I helped her pack her bags, thinking everything's going to be okay. I was just completely away from reality. And I remember being in my room on the computer again. And the morning, my sister came into the room and she said, "Buddha, can we get help for you?" And I said, yes. And she had McDonald's with her. And because that's really how I was. Like when I wake up, I'm a mean person, but I love my sleep at that stage. Probably because I went to sleep at 5 in the morning. But so she had her McDonald's bag and she said, "Can I get help for you?" And I said, "Yes, I need to pack a bag." And she said, "Don't worry, it's already packed. I'm going to go for 3 days." And I said, "Okay." So I went to a clinic in Pretoria for my 3 days weekend. So after that last drink that I've shared, this was that following weekend. I knew I had a hunting group coming that Tuesday. So just to correct myself, like it was that weekend that I drank, the next week, Tuesday, was the hunting group coming. And I remember saying to her, "I can only go for 3 days because on Tuesday I've got clients coming. So I'm going to go in and out, you know." And going to the facility, I met a person who was my counselor at that stage, hadn't owned what I've done, like I can own to the group now. Kept it to myself, kept it like a bag on my back, just carrying the secret around. And she, about 14 days in, they also prescribed another chemical substance that added onto this. It's an antipsychotic for a person who's got schizophrenia. And one thing I know, I don't have schizophrenia. Like I know that, I'm not a schizophrenic. And so that wasn't like quite cool, but still just went on with it. And she sort of told me, "We're going to send you to a place for your behavior." And I said, "Okay, I'll go." Because I could admit, like through the things that I've done and the way I've acted with people telling me what sort of person I've become, that my behavior is off the chart. I said yes. She didn't mention coming off substances, and she didn't mention like addicts and alcoholics. She just said, "You're going for your behavior." And I said, "Okay." I remember they were very relieved when I admitted that I'll go. And I drove up and I arrived at the house on the hill in full-blown camos. And I really thought that there was fly fishing involved. And horses, we played with, not played with them, but they were like, you got to lift the horse foot up and stuff like that because the horse can trust you. And I didn't know what it was going to be about. But but I arrived, and the previous night, or the previous day before I came, I also stole at that pharmacy. I remember that as well. I even stole that side. So I came here, and I sort of used the substances on my way in. I sort of then got exposed to my behavior and living with people around me and realizing that I'm not a nice person. The way that I behaved is very passive and aggressively, extremely arrogant, putting up this wall and this mask, "Don't talk to me," angry. Just an angry and a resentful person. And I got exposed to that in the concern groups. I got concerned a lot, where towards the end of it I was like, the thought I had about concern group was like, I'm clay, like you guys just fold me and mend me like how I have to be, because I've been in a facility a long time, and concern groups was hectic for me. Like the longest period I share is like when a person put their hand up, that period until they say my name, that little period there is a long period. And I was fearful for getting concerned because I got concerned a lot, and I got consequences for it. I washed pots, and I was on a humor ban and a share ban and a games ban. And I didn't have contact with the family. And I needed that because one of the blocks I had was minimizing the amounts of consequences. I also got exposed to the steps. I'm powerless and unmanageable. Always I believed that I had power. I'm always the one who made the decisions. It was hard for me to accept that I'm sitting in the seat up there and I'm sitting in the seat right here because of my choices and the decisions that I make. It's my thinking. And then two, and I got a higher power where I believed I followed my sponsor's suggestion to the best of my ability, as well as the power of spiritual principles. I literally, and the group, AA, and the sister fellowship, I keep it as simple as that. Just realize that I need power to stop, and I'm not that power. I need it. It's difficult to do that, but I've also learned life is difficult, and it's the acceptance thereof. Then it ceases to be difficult. But for me, to admit, okay, I need help and people should help me and I need some sort of power is difficult. The decision that I made to turn my will and my life over was the decision to sort of follow my sponsor's suggestion and hand over, including the relationship, have everything over to him. And so I got sort of exposed to the steps and did that the first time. And I remember going out and back to Pretoria, and I relapsed 7 days later. In that 7 days, I experienced where I ended up back on the farm. I also wrote scripts for myself at pharmacies. That's the way I ended up using, going from pharmacy to pharmacy to pharmacy. I'll know a town by where the pharmacies are located. Like, that's how I know my place around. Like, I know Durban for the pharmacies. And wrote a script, I relapsed, and I remember ended up on the farm and looking over this great area where the sun was setting, the cattle was grazing, it was a green area, it was a beautiful sunset, the tree stand was there where I used to hunt out of, and it was just this beautiful setting, but in my insides, I felt so far apart from everything and everyone, and it felt like God wasn't with me. That's how it felt like. I knew that I'm in deep trouble. Yeah, I went back to the house and I sat with the workers and I explained to them what I'm busy doing at the hospital that I wanted to work at. And this little kid was in the firing pit and he picked up a bottle. And it was the same bottle that I shared about in the beginning, which was my last drink. And the same type of like wine and the same glass bottle. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble here. I need to go back. And I knew. I made my way slowly back to the house. I didn't even drink that night because, like I said, I know it's just stay away from alcohol for me. I remember getting hold of my sponsor, not through my doing. My sister helped and stepped in and contacted him, and she handed me the phone, and I spoke to my sponsor. And I asked, he said to me, so you use? And I said, yeah. And he said, that's what we do, Daniel, we use drugs. And I went like, oh yeah. It's almost like I had like a period of like denial where I was like, oh yeah, that's what I do. I said, should I come back? And he said, coming back means acceptance, which is exactly the daily reading for today. I knew that day that coming to the house on the hill means that I accepted. Just as now coming into this meeting and sharing means that's an act of me accepting it and being okay with it. I went back, he said to me, we're not going to give you a quantum physics equation to solve, get on with it, help people. I sort of on my own looked at where I went wrong and I just started helping people. Yeah, that's probably the honesty, eh? I just started helping people. And from that day on, up until today, I found happiness. There were things that happened in between that affected me life on life terms. A year later, I got divorced. I knew that I had to go down to the halfway house. I didn't want to go down to the halfway house, but I knew I had to. So that's like a difficult situation as well because the wife's still in Pretoria, but I ended up doing it. I was not happy at that stage, that I can say. I knew that I had to do it. I knew I'll stay sober if I follow my sponsor's suggestion and if I follow the book. It's sort of a piece of it. And admitting that I'm powerless and I'm an alcoholic, when I do that, there's a sort of like peace that, okay, so that's what's wrong with me. I felt that when I did the steps. And anyway, so I went down to the halfway house, and at the end of it, went through a divorce. She asked me to divorce me. That was hectic. That was a lot of pain. That was extremely painful. So what I did with that is the amount of thoughts of drinking increased and running as well. So I decided to reach out, ask for help, and get back up to the house. It's really here where helping people helped me a lot. I knew that newcomers will come into the facility, and I knew I needed God. My thinking was that I'll find it up there. Because I do believe God works through people, but that's not important. What I realize now is time helped the pain to go away. And I needed to stay sober during that time because as the time went on and I stayed sober, I found immense gratitude just for being sober, and I fell in love with the program. I've enjoyed it so much. From there on, I went to work in Lucia for 3 months, where I had an opportunity to help people who were not even exposed to the program, where I went to the mall and printed the steps and started their step work with them. I went to a lot of meetings, and there were a lot of newcomers there, and I loved it. I loved every single moment about an alcoholic who can't drink, and I have the opportunity to help that person to stop drinking, because it finally just dropped for me. It makes me feel good, consistently, for a long period of time. Something that a chemical substance did not do for me. It makes me have integrity, and I'm trustworthy, and it makes me laugh again and just be myself. And that's all I wanted, is just to be me again. And at a time I share it at the house sometimes, I just want to press pause and be like, let this not change. Let me just feel this way forever, please. And then something else happens and it just gets better and better and better. If I continue doing this way, it doesn't say you come into the room and you have to want to stop drinking. It doesn't say that. It says you have to have a desire to stop. You have to want it more than you want anything else in this world. That's what you need. A desire. I'm grateful for being Afrikaans, because words like that stick out to me. I'm like, you need a desire. You need a fucking want it. You need to want it more than you want anything in this world. You need to put recovery first, and you need to want to stop drinking. Then you'll stop drinking by following the program. I have this desire, and I found purpose. I just found purpose to help people. I'm so blessed with being in an environment where I get to train. I'm a training counselor at the moment, but I get to help people and teach them and how it works to try and stay sober. Then I do that, and then the person drinks again, or the person wants to leave, and I realize I can't attach myself to what that person does. Like, my purpose is just to try and carry the message. It's irrelevant what the person does with it. I'll stay sober at the end of the day, but I'm blessed with that opportunity. So many people, I believe, want purpose in life, and they don't know what it is that they want to do. And that's where I'm grateful for that I'm an alcoholic. It's because I finally find purpose. I do have situations where I think about the past, and I think at that stage was awesome and nice. I've had an awesome vehicle. I loved that Jeep. It was like a white and black V6, 3.6 liter Jeep Little Wrangler. I love that vehicle. And I think back and I'm like, I had the wife and the house at the same stage. And I had the job at the hospital. How is it possible that I still went and looked for something to make me feel better? And I'm like, man, it's actually hectic having this disease. But without this disease, I won't find God. Because there was no God working there. It was all me working on my own power and my own will, doing what I believe is right. The decisions that I've made in Active is just mad. The way I spend finances, and just the decision to cheat on my wife is simple enough. Like, that's an absolute mad decision, and something that I don't want to do ever again. Making amends has been amazing. That amends with her, as I mentioned, she's my main resentment. She's my main amends itself. And my amends to her is as simple as love her enough and stay away. And don't contact her. Because I'll do harm. So sticking to that amends has been huge. I've had an opportunity to make amends to my sister. And mentioned something in the past that because she came to the house and she said, can't we get help for you? And I said, and I was so arrogant and just mean to her and basically said, piss off, and aggressive towards her. And I got an opportunity to say to her, listen, I'm sorry for what I did in the past. And I've waited 2 years. That's basically it. Eh? I'm sorry for the type of brother I was. I'm sorry I was dishonest towards you. And it must have been tough having a brother like me. And I also feel like I want to apologize for that moment, if I've lived. And she was amazed that I remembered it. She was just happy that we can look back at the past and sort of laugh at it. The relationships with my family have been restored. And that's a miracle in itself. I can just be a brother and be sober. I'm getting friends in recovery. I love that part. I've always wanted it, and I love that. I can feel it. I can feel like I'm growing, and it's all thanks to the program in AA. It's important that I continue and that we continue to help people find this, because it really is amazing. Sometimes I don't know if it can get better, but it probably will. It's important for me as well to know that the happiness and the things that I mentioned, like training up there or training in Lucia or being wherever, won't make me happy. It's irrelevant what I do. As long as I'm sober and I help the next suffering alcoholic, I'm happy. I found that happiness inside me. I don't want to let it go. I always thought that things outside of myself will make me happy. And I found that up there, that I'm the only person who can make me happy. It's me. It comes from inside. It's an inside job. And I'm so grateful. I'm extremely grateful just to be sober. And that I found this. And that my dad can sleep at night. And my mom can sleep. And they can see, okay, I'm busy doing what I'm doing. I don't even know if they understand what I'm doing, but I'm busy doing it. So I know they're at peace. And I know that I'm a brother to my sister. And I can become friends to people. Those are the things that I'm grateful for. And I'm looking forward to the future. I have the ability to plan a little bit forward and be like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm working hard towards. And be sober achieving that. So yeah, it's basically as simple as that. I've felt that this program has spiritually matured me. It's the power in the program. It's not in my own doing. I'm well aware as well that 2 years is such a short period of time. I've used and drank for a long time. I pray and I'll continue to go on my knees every morning and stay humble to the best of my ability, because it's once I start thinking that I'm okay, that I got it, that's where complacency comes in. And I'm looking forward to continue doing this. Continue doing my step 11s. Continue getting honest with my sponsor. And honest with the people around me. I constantly check, do I have any secrets? Do I have any dishonesty? I don't like the feeling knowing that there's something in the back of my head like it's a dishonesty. I love sharing at meetings. And when I share, I can't share where there's something in the back. Like I don't like being fake. I want to be the same person behind the closed door as I am in the real world. That's what I strive to. And the program gives me that. It gives me integrity. And people can trust me. One drink, and that's all gone. One drink, and that's why I'm even grateful that today is just a Sunday and I can go do washing, and I can go to help someone, and also just live life, and enjoy it, and enjoy recovery. I can talk the whole day to you guys about how this program works and what you need to do, but I need to live it. I need to live it, and I need to enjoy recovery for other people to see that that's what recovery is like, that's what it gives you. Because otherwise I just get myself in a mess. So I do enjoy recovery, and I'm currently loving it. This is mad, I've always wanted to play Survivor. And I've even entered Survivor yesterday. I sent in a little 3-minute video. My friend helped me put it together. I love the game. And then when I entered, I saw there's 53,000 people, so I don't really know if I have a chance, but I mean, that's really a dream, just to enter, irrelevant whether I get in or not. I've always said I want to play, but I've never just freaking entered. And recovery has given me that. It's when stuff like that happens, I'm like, that's cool. I would never have done that if I haven't found these rooms and if I haven't found the program of AA. So with that, thanks for letting me share.
Thanks.